Good morning and happy Tuesday. We have a few things we're going to do today. I actually have another 2 days of sub-plans that I need to get done this week. Tomorrow is another training day for new teachers. We did 2 of these days before the school year started, and then they like to do one like a month in. So that'll be fine. And then the next day, we're actually going to be at school, but I still need to prep for a sub because it is day to day. And I'm really excited about that. That is a day where the whole first grade team and all the interventionists and curriculum specialists will come together, and we kind of go over all of the data together, and we decide, who needs extra support, who needs extra enrichment, and we can create our groups and kind of go from there. So I'm very much looking forward to that, which in the meantime means my back table looks like this. So I'm trying to get my sub plans ready. Thankfully, I will be able to come in on Thursday morning. So I really only have to prep one day. And then Thursday morning, I can make sure, I still want to get all my copies ready, but I can make sure everything is ready Thursday morning because I will be here. I wanted to share a few things we've been up to this week. It is Tell Me Tuesday. So we're going to share something we like to do in the fall, 2 words that rhyme with snake. And then we'll do like a mystery word where they have to think about the first sounds in each of the letters. So this would be bat. Then Haggerty phonics. What did I want to show you? We'll start our new morning work. Oh, we did read The Thing Lou Couldn't Do. We read this book yesterday and we talked about character traits. We also introduced some new vocabulary. Let me show you. I showed you these from the Bad Seed, but these are my vocabulary cards. So we have some new vocabulary that we went over before reading the book. So we will continue to talk about that vocab today. Today I'll give them some yes or no examples and they'll tell me if it sounds like it or if it does not sound like that word. And then we will go ahead and reread the book and really talk about stopping and asking questions. This is the anchor chart that comes from our curriculum. It says good readers stop and think to ask and answer questions about key details in the text. So we'll go ahead and read the story one more time, but we'll stop and ask ourselves these questions. In science, we have started our earth science. So we moved on from social studies and now we are doing our earth science. So we started yesterday by watching, I think it's on Generation Genius. It looks like a great website, but we started learning about the 4 different seasons, and we just made a quick little anchor chart. Today, we're going to make a little craft that goes along with that, just as a way to show that our seasons all go in order and some important things about each season. One of the biggest things is going to be in relation to the sun, how the days are longest in the summer and they're hotter because the sun is in the sky for the longest period of time as opposed to winter. After we learn about this, we'll kind of learn why that is and how our earth rotates and all that fun stuff. I got all the construction paper ready over here for the craft that we're going to do. Like I said, it comes right from the website. At the end of the day, I'll have an example that I can share with you. We also introduced a few new things in WIN that I want to show you. Also, because it is October, it's a new month, I went ahead and changed everybody's seats. So we're getting used to who we're sitting next to. I really try to keep them in those seat pairs in that group for as long as we can. Usually I like to keep them in there for about a month. Unless there's a major problem, I don't switch them. I really want us to meet new friends, work through these problems, which means sometimes it can be a little difficult for me at the beginning when we first move them, but trying to figure it all out now. In WIN, if you watch my videos before, we usually have 3 stations: independent, collaborative, and then teacher table, but we added another one. So for independent reading, my students are going to do the what's the missing letter and then say and spell with a scrambled sentence on the bottom. So on this one, of course, they're just filling in the missing letter and tracing and then coloring. Here they are tapping each sound and then they write the letter that corresponds with that sound in the box. And then they have a scrambled sentence on the bottom to go ahead and fill in. Here is where we are keeping, let me move this up. I got this from Lakeshore, but instead of all the trays that I have to remove, I'm going to try to do this system, which seemed to be pretty easy yesterday. But we will go ahead and the Independent Reading Center will always be the blue bin. The math game, which is just an addition colorum game, will be here. And then we also introduced an independent writing station. So let me show you. For the independent writing, I went ahead and assigned them a pumpkin video from SciShow Kids in Seesaw. So what they're going to do is, this was their first introduction to their journals. So they have their foundations journals here, and I put that in a yellow bin to match with the yellow tray. So yellow, yellow. And they will go ahead and watch the video in Seesaw. Then they will take out their journal and complete the prompt. So this prompt is actually way too wordy, so next week I'll make this a lot shorter. But a fact I learned about pumpkins is, so they will copy that down in their journal, they will share a fact that they learned, and then they will draw a picture to match. Here is one example. A fact I learned about pumpkins is they grow at a farm. And then he drew a little picture of a pumpkin to match. So that was perfect. And then they can go ahead and put the prompt back there if they don't need it anymore, and they'll put their journal back in the bin. I showed you the math game is just color them, so they will play together. They just roll 2 dice, find the sum, and color it in with their color. Very, very simple. And then the teacher table, they will always bring back their fluency folder as well as their book bin, and we will get started with some decodables. Here's a little example of the craft we're going to make later. Again, it was from Generation Genius, but I think it'll be very cute, and I like that it will continuously show the cycle of the 4 seasons. Oh, I also wanted to show you what we did yesterday in math. After we did our main lesson on different ways to add, we went ahead and split up with partners and we did some addition task cards. These will also eventually be added into WIN. Instead of like a game, they might have to complete these tasks. So I wanted to make sure students knew how to do some of them. They're pretty basic, but here were a couple favorites. Link and add. This one, you simply take out a card. They've already been hole punched. So students will use the links here. They'll go ahead and link 2, link 4, and then they write 6 in the answer box. So they do that with a partner. And then this one was stack and add. So on this one, they have a domino. This one says 4 and 1. So they will have to make a stack of 4, stack it up. Then they will go ahead and do a 1 here so we can see like a visual representation. And then they will go ahead and write the equation. 4 plus 1 equals 5. There were some other ones that we did too. We did add and cover. Instead of covering, I just had students use their dry erase markers and circle. So that one over there says 4. Circle all the equations that equal 4. Oh, this is another fun one. Roll, smash, and add. They all have Play-Doh. So first they had to, if that bottom one, 3 plus 5, they had to make 3 small balls of Play-Doh, put them in the 10 frame, then add 5 more, and then they would smash them all and see what the sum was. All right, I have about 10 minutes to get this back table looking good as new, or at least looking better. So I'm gonna go ahead and organize that and get ready for the day. I will check in after school. Hello, checking in after school. We actually had a bunch of meetings this afternoon, so I went to those and then I got my sub plans all prepped up. Let's go take a look and see what we've got. Okay, we have a different theme here. We have the we have the pumpkin to see if they can earn some stickers. We have my very long sub plans with slides. For phonics, we're gonna do a quick little review with the phonics cards, and then some CVC practice and middle sound practice. For reading, we're gonna do basically what we did with those shoes, except this is for Creepy Carrots. So they'll go ahead and read that and retell. Then for math, if there's extra time, they can play one more, one less. But really, they're gonna go through the math in focus and do this packet together. And then for writing, they are making super sentences. So it says the king laughs. They have to go ahead and use these question words to make it a super sentence. Those who finish that will go to writing. And then last but not least, we have social studies, which will be pumpkins. So sub plans are done. They are emailed to our sub email where everybody goes in and gets them. And then we are good for tomorrow. So I am going to head out today and I will check in with you tomorrow after my training or before my training or at some point. See you tomorrow. Hello, happy Wednesday. Say hi to Sully. Hi, Sully. He's asleep. Anyway, I just got back from our full day of induction training. This was a training for all new hires in the district, and today's was very informational. So lots of information, which meant lots of sitting. So my body needs a break, and then again, I'm sitting here at my desk. But the morning was focused on special education. So all the SPED coordinators for the district were there, and they kind of went over different things in our district about special education, how we're going to grade on report cards, as well as some statewide things that I was already a little bit familiar with. but just going through the whole process, which is great. And then in the afternoon, we had the ELL coordinator and a BCBA come in to talk about ELL services, you know, some things about best practice, as well as the behavior as well. So behavior interventions and strategies and things we can do in our classroom. So it was, like I said, very good, very informational, but I am tired from just sitting because it's basically like 8 hours of sitting and listening and taking notes and, you know, all that fun stuff. Since I am home a little bit early, the boys won't be home for another like 20 minutes. I'm going to try to finish up a book bunch that I've been doing. These are new to the SJT Literacy Club. People have asked, and yes, I will definitely try to get them on TPT. I want to wait until I have a few of them. But basically, actually, let me just show you what they are. I know I shared some of the vocabulary cards for these in my classroom, but here's an example from the Bad Seed. So all of the book bunch units will have the same elements. So here first we have the 1-page kind of cheat sheet, some themes and skills to teach with this book, vocabulary to point out, stopping points with questions, and then I always do like a standout sentence with some activities you'll see for that. And then for each of the words, we have student-friendly definition, as well as some things you might want to point out about the word. We also have yes and no examples for each of the words, and of course, a photograph for each of them. Then we have a Post-it template with all of the stopping point questions available for you to print out on Post-its, which is helpful, as well as some end of book discussion points. So at the end of the book, here are just some questions you may want to ask your students. Then with the standout sentence, I kind of put it here, and sometimes it is a quote from the text. This one is, all I can do is keep trying and keep thinking, maybe I am not such a bad seed after all. But sometimes it's just like a summary sentence or an important thing I want to point out about the book. And then all of these extensions are things you can do with that sentence. And then on top of that, let me make that smaller. On top of that, I like to take part of the sentence or all of the sentence if we can and do a sentence scramble. So they have to use their syntax knowledge to put it back in order. They paste it up here, copy it over, and draw a little picture. We also do some extensions with these with because and but. This is from the Writing Revolution. They have because, but, and so. In first grade, I like to really just do because and but. So maybe I'm not such a bad seed after all because, they'll again relate it back to the story. Maybe I am not such a bad seed after all, but, and they'll have to extend that. And then for each story, I have about 2 or 3 different response templates. Here's just a retell, beginning, middle, and end. A writing extension, I can be a good seed by. And then this is one we did with our class. What we did is we picked 2 different colors to color in our bad seed. And one would represent our strengths and others would represent our weaknesses. Because as we learn in the book, we are not, we are not known by just our bad parts. We all have bad parts and good parts. We all have things we can work on and we all have strengths. So they went ahead and completed that. So I am currently doing one for, let me see if I can pull it up. I need my monster because it is October, the beginning of October. So I have this one and I have one for Creepy Carrots that right now you can see doesn't have my fonts or anything in, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this finished and put up as a little bonus in the SJT Literacy Club so people can use it around the holiday, around Halloween. So that means enough talking to you, and I gotta get to work because I got about 15 minutes before the boys come home. So I'll check in later. All right, I just got some good work done on the monster book bunch. Not done yet, but almost done. But I need to show you this cake that my mom made today. So good. Okay, this was from Half Baked Harvest, and it was like an easy apple sugar cake, apple cinnamon sugar cake or something. So, so good. You probably can't tell in there, but like you can really taste all the apples and the cinnamon and the sugar. It's delicious. I'm hoping the boys like it. Also, my husband decided one day while I was at work to decorate the entire house. Well, not the entire house, but he decorated a lot of the house. He got some funny things for me. Him and my mom did this while me and the boys were at school all day. And then we came home to a fun surprise. And then this is the terrifying part, because instead of our planters, he hung up these. And at night when we walk by the window, that's like terrifying. Let's see Let's see what else is out there. Hi, Saul. We have our little skulls on the door. We have our little hanging friend and our skeleton sitting on the porch. And then they got these hay bales. Is that what they're called? Hay bales? Bale of hay? I don't know what it's called. We have the corn, another little terrifying guy. The kids thought this was a lot of fun. But just some little fun decorations outside. Hit the bones everywhere. See you soon. Another little skeleton. Fun and festive. Good morning. Happy Thursday. I just popped in. It's like 7:20. I wanted to get here early because I had a sub yesterday, so I wanted to check out, see how things went. I got a good note from the class, and it looks like they filled up their tens frame, so they each got a sticker, which is good. And right now I'm going to get some things settled. I see that my bookshelf, let me show you. My magnetic bookshelf seems to have fallen, so I might try to get some hot glue and glue that together, because this part obviously still seems very strong, and this is still actually really sticky, but let's see if we can hot glue gun that. And then I need to change the date and do a few other things this morning. I wanted to show you real quickly. I know some people were asking about small group lessons from the training that I did last week. So I printed a couple out that I actually did, not yesterday because I was at training. So Tuesday, I did this with one of my groups. So I just wanted to kind of walk you through and let you see what it looks like. So this lesson in particular goes with this book right here, What a Thrill. This is a whole phonics, it's level 3, unit 4, book 10. And What a Thrill is in the R blends category. So the group I'm working with is definitely working on their beginning blend sounds and end blend sounds. And they've already passed, digraphs and some other decodable skills that they have already learned. So just to take you on a quick little tour of what the lesson looks like, we start with the trick words, and then here's a grid. So like I said, teachers already went through, which is amazing, and found all the words that they're going to pick out and all the sounds and everything for each of these books already, which is just, makes my life so easy. So step 1 up here is our trick word introduction. So here is, again, we say heart words. So I would explain what sounds are expected and then what sounds are heart sounds, ones that we need to memorize, and have students blend the word and say it aloud. And then we go right into trick word practice. So this is the introduction. All 4 of these words are, of course, in this book. And then we have the grid here. And here what we're going to do is have students kind of say the word in their head. I'll point over here, and then when I swipe, they go ahead and say it. So we'll do some together, and then I'll call students individually and just say, so-and-so, this word, any, another person, this word, again, like that. Step 3 on the list is always going to be phoneme blending. So here are sounds I'm going to say, t, I, p, and I'm going to tap them because that's what we do in foundation. So we'll tap them, and then students will blend it aloud. So 8 words here to practice. And I hope you can see that this is actually pretty quick. Again, this is explicit instruction. I'm going to explain what the sounds say. I'm going to explain what the sounds make. Then we go into the quick practice of reading them, over to the phoneme blending. Next are the sound cards. Now I just take out my foundations cards, but this is kind of what we are reviewing, right? Some R blends. So we have t, put it in your mouth, blend, chur, f, fur, k, ker. And then we review CK, sock, k. And of course the double F is also focused in here. Or is a focus sound, so we go over that as well. After we've shown the cards, we go to the quick letter sound practice. Now again, here is another grid, just like those high frequency words or trick words, and we have it go here, and then students say the sound. And again, we practice this together, and then I have individual students go ahead and just name a couple. Now, I thought this was important to note during the meeting. I asked, especially when we get to the decoding part, which I'll show you, the blending, I asked about the grid size and if there were too many, could we, cover some up? And they actually had a really great answer. Then I was like, oh, light bulb moment. So in fact, we don't want to cover anything up because we know, and I remember this from my letters training, that our eyes are always tracking ahead, right? So if we're actually covering this up and making it visually less for students to go ahead and blend, then they are not we're doing them a disservice, because realistically we know that students are looking ahead. Now this is a bad example. I should do it. Here we go. So we have a bunch of words. So yes, instead of covering them up, this one we only need to do a 2x4 grid. We don't need to have all of it. But instead of covering them up, we do want to leave a grid pattern so students can, see the words in front of them. And then again, we're quickly trying to blend through these. So just interesting to note. So after the sound practice of the skills that will be in the book, we go to blending. And I mentioned this in my last video, but there are 4 different types of blending that Hill for Literacy uses. We have continuous blending, which is not going to be a thing here because we're working on blends. We have sound by sound blending, and we also have 2 others. What is it? Sound focused and multisyllabic. So multisyllabic doesn't really count here. So this will either be sound by sound, which is what I always do for blends. So I would actually write them on the board, these words right here. I would do a T first, and then I would write in R. Actually, let me show you. I've showed this numerous times before when talking about phonics, but just so you can see visually, because this is exactly where we ended yesterday. So we blended, we said sound, t, sound, r, blend, tr, sound, I, blend, tri, sound, p, word, trip. So we do one by one. This really helps. I always do this with beginning blends if my students are struggling to kind of remember and hold both of those sounds in their mouth. So I always start with this type of blending, which I call successive blending. They call sound by sound blending here. But so that is what we did yesterday. And again, just to make my life even easier, all the words that we can use that are in the book are right here. So this step right here, the blending, is going to be for accuracy, right? We're doing it slowly. We're making sure students are blending the sounds to accurately read the word. Then when we move on to our next step, which is step 7, this is where we're looking for automaticity. So we're kind of bringing that fluency in. I was able to do a couple of these, but I'm actually going to pick up here. I'm actually going to rewind a little when I get to meet with this group again. I'm going to do a couple of these again, just to slowly do it. They were proficient with it. They weren't super quick though. So we're just going to do a couple sound by sound, and then we're going to go to the automaticity part. So again, we have a grid. I point here, they put the word in their head, and then we say it. Trip, drag, frog, crabs, clang, and so on. So again, this part is for the automaticity. And again, we're doing all of this before we dive into our book. Step 8 on the list is, of course, our decodable. This title is What a Thrill. So I will have students read this. This was interesting to me, but I did do it yesterday and it actually went smoother than I thought it would be. So the way this was described in terms of actually following through on this was, I want students, I'm going to teach them to put the first sound, they're going to use their finger, put the first word in their mouth, so in their head, and they'll have it. And then when I tap, 1, day, Beth, Thad, and, his, cuz, so you can see. And I'll do that with the whole first sentence. That was a little interesting to me. It felt like we were teaching students to kind of, read like a robot. But what it does is, at least for the first sentence or two, is you're giving students that minute to decode the word first, or pull it from their brain if they already know the word. 1 day, Beth, Thad. And then afterwards, we read it. 1 day, Beth, Thad, and his cuz, Greg, wanted to go on a trip. So we do read it fluently after. And again, we are not doing this whole tapping situation for the whole book. That would be ridiculous for this book. But we do it for a little bit at the first so I can hear students read. And then we can go into whisper reading or buddy reading where I can hear them and kind of check in with students like I normally would. And then they go ahead and finish the book. Either on their own, finish it another time, they put theirs in their book bin, and that is our decodable. And there are 2 last steps after students go ahead and read the book. So I hope you can see that this whole lesson would not take place over 1 day. It would probably be over 2. Usually, like I said, I got to the blending. So we would do a little automaticity. I would send them off to go read their book. And then I would have them come back, just because this book in particular, I would not be able to go through the entire thing with this group. Some of my other books, like the CVC books, or more ones, geared towards the beginning of the year in first grade, I'd probably be able to do in the whole 15-minute section. But this one I would not. Then when they come back, we would do phoneme segmentation. So I would say the word trip. They have to go ahead and tell me this phonemes that they hear. T, I, p. they do a few of these. And our last step, of course, is dictation. So I'll have them use their whiteboards or some sort of paper. I've been using whiteboards right now, but a paper would help me see kind of what they're stuck on, but right now I'm just taking notes. So we would do sounds, trick words, current words, and a sentence. So yeah, that was a quick but detailed description of the small group reading lessons that we will be doing with students. So I have 3 sections of those a day. I have 2 during my reading block where I have 30 minutes and we break it up into 2 15-minute groups. And then I also have that win block where I can at least do one other one. And then I try to focus that time on some other skills that need to be addressed, maybe some specific writing skills, some math skills. But we'll kind of see, I can use that not only for what the students need, but for what I need to teach them. So right now we at least have 3 groups that I can meet with. And again, that whole lesson would definitely be broken up into 2 portions. Now, I do also want to point out with the higher groups, I don't need to, if I find that, this was my first time running through this with one of my higher groups. So I don't want to, I didn't want to skip any of the parts. I wanted to just go through it, but it is recommended that if they are doing fine with blending those sounds, if they're doing fine with the trick words, if they already know them, to just go to steps 7 through 10. And 7 is that automaticity part. So just show them the word. We don't even need to do the sound by sound blending. And then go right to the decodable, phoneme segmentation, and dictation. So lots of different ways to play with it, but I wanted to share that with you since many asked. And then over here is where we have a ton of decodables that we can use. And like I said, all of those books have those lessons with them, which is just truly amazing. All right, so I'm gonna finish super gluing that shelf over there, so hopefully it doesn't fall off the board. And then today we have day to day. So I think I said this yesterday, but all the first grade teachers are getting together and we're going to go over all the data and decide groupings and things like that. So I'm excited about that, but I need to get ready for it and make sure I have a few last things ready for my sub. So I will check in later after school. Oh, I also brought some of those apple cinnamon bars that I showed you yesterday. I brought them for day to day. Hello from my bedroom. It is obviously later in the day. We had a great day today. It was our day to day, which I know I've mentioned like 3 times now, but I loved it. I am one of those people that very much enjoys data. I like having a big data binder, tracking student progress, all that fun stuff. It was really nice to be able to get with all the other first grade teachers, the interventionists, and kind of see where everybody falls, listen to, the students in other classes, what they're working on, and just kind of be on the same page. So that was great. What this means for us now is we know what students will receive tier 2 intervention services for reading, math, and SEL. So during that win block that I keep telling you about, those students will get pulled for services during that time. And what that means for me is it helps me lay out my scheduling. I've said this before, but in the reading block, we will have 2 groups. And in WIN, I'll be able to run at least one other reading group. And then I can use that time for other skills instead of just reading. But what that means is for my students who are getting pulled out for tier 2 reading services, I want to make sure that I get them during that reading group. So they're getting that kind of double dose of reading, small group targeted reading instruction from me. And then they go right back to back and go get it with an interventionist. So I'm really excited about it. Now I can actually kind of really plan out who's going to be in the groups, when they're going to get pulled, and exactly what we're working on. And also during that win block, when those students leave, I'll get to see who I'm left with and really target their direct instruction skills as well. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm going to go ahead and end the vlog now. Tomorrow is Friday. We have a long weekend this weekend. I am going to film a couple things that I plan on doing tomorrow because they are fun and pumpkin related. Tomorrow's like our Fun Friday, so I'm going to do that. And yeah, I will see you next week. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.